Okay, Jeanette, it's just you and me. Welcome to the September meeting of the Audit, Budget, and Finance Committee of the Buffalo Fiscal Stability Authority. Thank you for being here. Our agenda today includes a review of the audited financial statements as presented by our auditors. Thank you for coming. A review of the 2024 annual report as prepared by staff, and a one-year contract extension with BFSA's financial advisor, PFM. I will take the roll. Vice Chair Jurczak.
Present.
And Secretary Floss is present. We have a quorum. The first item of business is to approve the minutes of the meeting held on June 17th, 2024. The draft minutes and the accompanying draft resolution are located under tab 2 in your board book. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
As moved.
Thank you, Jeanette. I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. The next order of business is the receipt of the results of the independent audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, and to recommend the acceptance and approval of the financial statements to the full board. The draft financial statements and related reports are provided under tab 2. Sarah Dayton and Elizabeth Krause from Lundsman & McCormick are here to present the results of the audit. Thanks for coming and helping us here today. Would you like to begin?
Sure. Hi, again, my name is Liz Krause. I'm with Lundsman & McCormick. I'm an audit principal with the firm. Sarah sends her apologies for not being here today. On slide number 1, this is a snapshot of our scope and results of the audit. First and foremost, we perform an audit on the financial statements of the governmental activities, as well as each major fund of the financial statements, including generally accounting goals. We did issue an unmodified opinion this year, which is again what you would like to see every year that we do an audit. We also perform an audit in accordance with government auditing standards, and this is more of us looking at internal control over financial reporting and testing of compliance, and there were no matters in this regard. We also issued another report, your auditor's report on compliance with Section 2925 of New York State Public Authorities Law. This is in regards to your investment guidelines. We found no matters in this area of the audit. And then on the next few slides, I will go through some of our required communications with the audit committee and management letter. The next slide is a snapshot of our required communications. Within the required communications, we disclose our responsibility as auditor is to issue our opinion on the financial statements and to also test your compliance and your internal controls related to the government auditing standards. Within the report, we also discussed the plan, scope, and timing of the audit. There were no changes to the initial plan. We audited everything as we initially intended. We did not have any issues with ethics or independence. We were in compliance with that regard. The statements or the report, we also bullet point out all the estimates that we look at. So we look at the timing of your recognition of sales tax revenue and payments, which are May and June taxes collected and received, so that's your receivables as of year end. We look at the interest income and expense and the proper recognition of those as of the end of the year, the estimates that's involved within your employee retirement system and your other post-employment benefit system, and the accrual for the net pension position related to those matters. We also look at the significant disclosures involved, so those we have listed here. Footnote 4, those again are your amounts due from New York State and the county for sales tax, as well as the mirror bonds with the city. Note 5 is your long-term liabilities, which is your bonds payable and the repayments that you have on those bonds through 2026, and then the detailed disclosures related to retirement system and your post-employment benefits. We did not have any difficulties encountered during the audit. There was no disagreements with management. Any correct or incorrect indices were corrected, and those were really just adjustments to get from fund basis to full accrual, so all the GASB entries. There was no circumstances that affected the form and content of the audit report. We will be asking management to sign management representations when we conclude the audit and finalize the report, just stating that they take responsibility for everything provided in the financial statements themselves. We did not consult with the external auditor, and there was no matters or issues. On the management letter, we had no material weaknesses, which is again what you'd like to see, and there was no significant recommendations or other comments that we needed to report on. And then we did have some informational points. GASB 101 through 103, they're upcoming in the next 1 to 2 years. We will be working with management to implement them. But really, for sake of time, there's really no substance to these GASB standards. It's really more information within your financial statements, enhanced disclosures, and just the movement with your financial reports and what your MD&A has to report, what the budgetary items have to be disclosed and where they fall within your financial statements. So nothing significant, but we'll work with management to implement. On slide number 4, we have your statements of net position, comparative for 2024 and 2023. At the top here, we have your total assets as of June 30th of 24 at $19,002,000. Your cash equivalents and investments, your notes receivable, which is the mirror bonds of the City of Buffalo, the 2005A mirror bonds, is all that remain at this time. Amounts due from other governments, so that is the May and June sales tax receivable. And then minor other assets, which is really just prepaid reported. Deferred outflows of resources, this is your employee retirement system, your ERS, deferred outflows of resources at $187,000. You have your deferred outflows and your deferred inflows, and those are really represented and reported based on the actuarial assumptions and the investment portfolio that the employee retirement system has and your proportionate share of the investments and actual results. And then within your liabilities of $19,878,000, we have your amounts due to the City of Buffalo, which is then you remitting those May and June sales tax receipts less anything you're setting aside for debt service and general administrative costs. Your bond payable, which is your 2015A bond, about $320,000 is left for principal payments, and then another $218,000 is premium being amortized for the life of the remaining debt. And then again, that pension, OPEB and other, that's again your actual liability, your proportionate share of the liability, about $239,000 is your liability for ERS as of June 30th. OPEB was about $1,186,000, and then you got some minor other items in there, accounts payable, accrued liabilities. By default, you have a net deficit, net position of $842, broken out between your restricted and unrestricted. Within your restricted, that's just your cash and investments in debt service, less any interest payable. On the next slide, we have your statement of activities. Again, comparative for 2024 and 2023. You had total general revenues of $3,332,571,000. That includes your sales tax revenue, your state aid revenue, and then some minor interest and other income that's slowly going down as your debt payments, your outstanding debt and your bonds go down. Within your expenses, that total $332,836,000. We have your distributions to the City of Buffalo, that sales tax and state aid that came in that's being remitted out, and then distributions to the City School District, which is purely your sales tax. And then $944,000 of your expenses is related to general and administrative costs. On a fund basis, $744,000 was really the true expense as compared to $732,000 in the prior year. Anything on top of that is really just our entries for employee retirement system and OPEB to get it to that full accrual basis. So by default, you had a change in that position, a decrease of about $265,000 this year. And that is everything I have. Is there any questions?
Jeanette, do you have anything?
Nothing from Jeanette.
Thank you. Well, thank you for that. It was very clear, and I'm glad we've gotten a good response to the audit. It's always something that we like to hear, and we appreciate all of that. Are there any other GASB requirements that you think are coming in the future you'd like to let us know
Not
about?
that have been implemented or finalized. There's some, items that are announcements that are coming through, but nothing at this time. We try to stay as and disclose something in January. So through 103 at this point.
Through 103 is good. Okay. If there are no other questions, can I have a motion to accept the report?
As moved.
Okay. So all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So we will move to have this fully accepted by the board. The next item includes the review of the annual report and the recommendation to the full board to approve this item in substantially its final form, as well as to delegate authority to the chair pro tem, the interim vice chair, and the executive director and the controller to make any necessary changes that may be required for an accurate completion. The draft annual report has been provided to you for review under tab 2. Executive Director Rowe.
Thank you. I have some comments on this annual report. So this is required by the state. It's required to be filed 90 days after fiscal year end. It's a comprehensive document. It summarizes everything that the board has done this last fiscal year. So it's a document that summarizes all the important work that is done in terms of overseeing the finances of the city and the public organizations. Since the BFSA was created in 2003, the cumulative financial impact of BFSA's actions to the city of Buffalo and its covered organizations totals approximately $460.4 million. Of this amount, $240.4 million is directly attributed to savings through the wage freeze, which was implemented back in 2004, April 2004, and it was lifted on July 1st of 2007. I do want to mention that we did place a honorable section chair, Noah Olson, on here. He retired this last year. He served as our chairman from December 2009 through November 2004. Some key areas I just wanted to briefly discuss. It is a big report. There's a summary of accomplishments. BFSA continues to provide fiscal oversight under an advisory period. And pursuant to this, we've held 8 board meetings during 2024, 3 audit, finance, budget committee meetings, and 3 governance committee meetings. It's the 12th year BFSA has operated as advisory. Prior to that, we operated as a control board under a control period for 9 years. There's a section discussing the progress towards fiscal stability and both the current and future challenges that the organization face. Multi-year financial planning, I always mention this every year, and I'm going to mention it again, that the financial plan, it really presents the core of BFSA's financial oversight, allowing us to see the projections for the decisions that are being made today and how they'll affect the future. From a reporting standpoint, all the reports and recommendations that were issued by BFSA are summarized in this document. We had 16 reports on the city of Buffalo, 9 over the district, EMHA 7, Borough 5, so very active, and I think the report demonstrates the activity of the board very well. There's a summary on the cumulative financial impact of actions taken by BFSA. As we've moved into a advisory board and not in a control period, our actions are advisory in nature, so these amounts have largely stayed the same the last couple of years as they've trailed off from having just act. The financial plans are included. I did include in the report book the marked versions of the report. There were some nits made, but nothing substantial for me to point out to anybody. It doesn't affect our conclusions or anything like that. And then the last sheet is the investment report, which is now an addendum to the annual report. That was included in your additional documents and sent to you separately today. It does tie, it reports the investment income as reported on the trial balance to the financial statement. It's also covered in our audit. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me thank you for all the hard work. I think it's important to understand while we're not in a control period, that there still is a lot of savings and a lot of effort that's put in working particularly with the finance department and Mayor Brown's office behind the scenes to be able to move the city in the right direction. And given all the different things that we've looked at from the Great Recession to COVID, that the city is working in the right direction. And while we have a lot more work to do going forward, that I think it would be much harder if we hadn't have done a lot of the work that's in this report. So thank you for pointing that out, but more importantly, thank you for doing a lot of this work and helping the board do a lot of this work and helping the city do a lot of it as well. So is there a motion to accept the annual report as presented to us in substantially its final form and to delegate authority to the BFSA Chair, Vice Chair, Executive Director, and Comptroller to make any necessary changes that may be required for its accurate completion?
As moved.
Thank you. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. The final item of business is to extend the contract with PFM Financial Advisors for a one-year period from October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025. PFM has served as the financial advisor of BFSA since our organization issued debt on behalf of the city and retains the historical knowledge related to these complex transactions. PFM has agreed to maintain hourly rates consistent with last year. A copy of the letter confirming the terms and the accompanying draft resolution have been provided under tab 2 of your board book. Is there a motion to engage PFM for a one-year period as discussed?
As moved.
A second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Is there any new business to be addressed before this committee?